What if what happened isn't the only thing that's affecting you? What if the perspective that you're viewing it through is what's keeping you stuck? Two people can experience the exact same situation, but the experience that they actually take from it is completely different. Why? Today we're going to go over 3 different layers of perspective and how having the ability to shift between these perspectives is what helps free you. And so our goal is to be able to perspective shift without abandoning your own experience and without dismissing someone else's experience. Hi, my name is Brooke McGuire, and if you are new to this channel, we love to have conversations here. We love to reflect, and we love to look at life in different ways so that we can move forward more aligned with who we truly are. And I say we because I am here on this journey just like you. The 3 perspectives that we'll be exploring today are the picture, the big picture, and the big, big picture. None of these replace the one before it. We are using them to expand our perspective, not dismiss it. The picture is my experience, or in your case, it's your experience. So a few questions to reflect on is, what's happening or what happened inside of me with this situation? What did I feel, perceive, or need? What story or meaning did I make from it? And what are my actions or reactions showing me about myself? This is where we take accountability. This is where we become self-responsible. And what's really important here is perceiving ourselves through a lens of curiosity instead of a lens of judgment. So we're not asking these questions to figure out what's wrong with us or what we need to fix. We are simply looking at ourselves. Because that's what builds a relationship with yourself, that's what builds trust with yourself, is when you can reflect and you can be honest with yourself about your experience. So in this framework of the 3 perspectives, you have to honor your experience first. You have to listen to the parts of you that are speaking up, and you have to honor what's going on inside of you. Perspective shifting should never require you to abandon yourself or invalidate your experience. It's also really important to note that with the picture, there's 2 different things. Some people get stuck in their own picture and they never look outside of them at the next 2 that we're going to explore. And on the other side, some people abandoned their picture, their perspective completely, and sacrifice themselves to accommodate to the other people involved, to prioritize and put the other people before them. But in order to actually take care of everyone involved and to consider everyone involved, you have to honor and understand what's going on inside of you. That's where you understand anything that you need to make changes on in your life. So if you are automatically reacting in situations, maybe you have to teach yourself certain breathwork tools in the moment or certain regulation tools in the moment so that you don't reach that point of explosion. So that you can honor both people involved, so that you can actually have a conversation between your 2 realities. We have to learn how to speak with one another, to see from one another's side. But that requires you to understand how to connect to your own experience and understand yourself. Because if we are getting stuck in our own picture, or even if we are sacrificing ours for someone else's picture, neither of those are telling the whole story. The next layer is the big picture, or someone else's experience. The person outside of us, their experience. So if there's a situation between you and someone you love, or you and a coworker, we are looking at the other side. This is where we get curious again, but we have to release our attachments to certainty or knowing. We cannot know what's going on in someone else's experience or someone else's picture. That's why we have to be open to being curious first, which can allow us more space to actually have an open dialogue conversation with someone else. This is not about putting yourself in someone else's shoes, because oftentimes people put themselves in someone else's shoes, but then they're acting as themselves in their shoes, as if they were in the situation. That doesn't help anyone. What we must learn how to do is to put ourselves in someone else's being, understanding that someone had a different childhood, someone learned different lessons through their life, and that created a very specific perspective and approach to life. So although we may put ourselves in someone else's shoes and make completely different decisions in their situation, we are not them. And if we want to work together, we have to understand them just as much as we are being willing to understand ourselves. So some of the questions that we can reflect on the big picture is what might be happening inside or within this other person within this situation. What do I know about their experience or their conditioning, their wounds or their needs that might be affecting their picture? That might be affecting the way that they experienced this. We don't just step into curiosity, we also step into compassion this way. Especially when you know someone better, when you're closer to someone that you are learning to perspective shift and step into their being. It's easier to step into someone's being when you know them, when you know their wounds, you know what they've been through, because then you can see, oh, that person actually may have been really triggered by my behavior because I know their deepest wounds. I know what they've faced before. I know what they've gone through before. It's really important also to reflect on what don't I know, because there's a lot you don't know. You are not this person and you are not actually in their head. You don't know deeply what's going on inside of them on a nervous system level, on a mind level, on a racing thought level. You don't know fully what it's like to experience life through their lens, through their picture. So that's why we must be open. And that means not filling the gaps with assumptions, but being aware of where those gaps are so that when you can come into conversation, you can allow them to fill those gaps for you. That's how you get to know one another better. That's how you deepen a relationship and a friendship. And so remembering too that their experience does not diminish or cancel out your experience, and your experience does not cancel out or diminish theirs. Both are important here. And if we try to bypass one or the other or prioritize one or the other, we can create more problems within the relationship. We have to learn how to have conscious conversations and to truly listen to one another. And that requires us to take ownership of what is mine, letting them take ownership of what is theirs. And truthfully, sometimes you can't know if that person is in a place to take ownership of what is theirs. You have to respect them on their journey, and you have to respect yourself on yours. You deserve to be surrounded by people who want to step into this as much as you do. Now, that doesn't mean erasing and deleting and letting go of anyone who can't keep up with you. We have to honor where everyone is at. But that also includes you. That means knowing your values. That means knowing how you want to move forward. And sometimes that person wants to come alongside you and walk with you. And sometimes that means that they're not ready for that. So how can you take care of yourself, and how can you be okay with that no matter which way it goes? How can you honor your picture and honor someone else's picture? Because at the end of the day, we're all evolving. Do you want to be a person who steps forward through love or steps forward through judgment? And that takes us to the third perspective, the big, big picture, or the greater perspective, the universal perspective. This one is my favorite. But there's a trap also that if you, like myself, are very adept to being able to perceive things from the greater perspective, there can often be very much of an ease with using the greater perspective to diminish the picture or the big picture. So we have to understand how to hold all three. So with the big picture, this is where we zoom out. So when we're in our own picture, we take one step back to look at the big picture, to look at the experience from someone else's side. And then we now take another step back to see the big picture of what is this situation offering us? What is this situation inviting us into? What is this revealing, or what is this teaching me? And what opportunities for growth or choice is this situation inviting me and the other people into? Can I take ownership of what is mine, and can I allow someone else the opportunity to do the same? That is healthy detachment. What might be unfolding here that I can't yet see? Pain and transformation can coexist. And this picture, the big picture, is extremely invaluable when you learn how to play with it with both of the other pictures involved. When we have more perspectives, we have more information. Therefore, we have more of an understanding, and therefore more of an ability to consciously choose how we wish to move forward in that relationship, but also in our life in general with all relationships. Perspective shifting does not mean perspective bypassing. We have to hold all of them together. And it can take time to learn how to do that as well. That's why we must learn how to be patient and compassionate, and learn that when we are building relationships, whether it's with another person or with ourselves, it does take time. When we meet someone and we just give them our trust completely, that is going against ourselves. We deserve to invest our time and trust into people, yes, absolutely. But we also deserve to honor ourselves for who we are and understand that you don't know someone just by having one conversation with them. So if you're someone like me, I've given my trust to people so quickly, and I have given trust to people where I would constantly bypass my own experience, shove everything under the rug, metaphorically, and that created issues in the relationship. That is just as damaging as someone who constantly is self-absorbed in their own experience and never even considers my side of things. Both sides are just as damaging, and personally, I believe that's why they attract each other. So how can we change this? By becoming aware of it, by shifting the energy underneath how we approach relationships, how we approach conversations, how we approach repair in conversations. Because understanding someone does not mean excusing them. That goes for other people, but that also goes for ourselves. And understanding the greater perspective does not dismiss your pain. That's why we still have to hold true to ourselves, hold true to our picture, and use that to grow us. Use that to love ourselves more, and use that to be able to love the people around us more. We can choose what is best for ourselves and want what's best for someone else. And sometimes that means continuing forward together. And sometimes that means honoring the journey and the beautiful evolution of life, that sometimes life brings in people for different reasons. I don't know who was the first person who said it, but people come into your life for a reason. Sometimes that means simply one interaction. Some people come in for a season. Sometimes that's literally like a year of your life, just one season of your identity and who you are. And sometimes people come in for life, to see every beautiful evolution of who you are, every beautiful identity of who you step into and who you continue to evolve into. And can we detach and honor the beauty of every lesson and every relationship that ebbs and flows into our life? When we can live from that perspective, life becomes a lot more graceful and a lot more easeful. It flows just naturally. And that doesn't mean there's not pain. It doesn't mean that hard things aren't going to happen, but it means that we trust ourselves more. It means that we trust other people to live the life that makes them happy, that fulfills them. Because at the end of the day, at least personally, that's what I want for everyone. I want everyone to be able to live a life that fulfills them and inspires them and makes them happy. Because more people who are living in that energy is going to domino effect and create a better world. And by better, that means a more aligned world, because we have people who are actually living in alignment and living in authenticity. So to wrap up today's conversation, I'd love to invite you into a reflection, as always. Maybe you've already had something come to mind, but if not, I want you to bring up a specific situation in your life that maybe you still feel challenged by or confused by. Maybe it's something you're currently going through, or maybe it's something from the past that you just haven't been able to figure out how to let go of. Maybe it still activates you or triggers you. And maybe that's because you've been stuck in only one of these three perspectives. So in that situation, I want you to reflect on these things. What is my picture? What is their picture or the big picture? And what is the big, big picture of what's fully going on here? What is this inviting me into? What changes in my life when I allow myself to see and honor all three? And if you have already been able to look at these different perspectives and you're still feeling stuck, I'd invite you to check out some of the other videos on my channel. I have one about actually allowing yourself to feel the emotions. That's another layer of why some people feel so stuck, is some people are so good at the mind and looking at all these different perspectives, but then there's other layers, such as the emotional body, where we have to learn how to honor that too. And with that, I'll see you next time. Bye.